Hi everyone, it's me, Lubna. Today is Friday, October 25th, 2024. This video is dedicated to my beloved, and the topic of this video is going to be about nonconformity in an age of conformity. So to illustrate that topic, I wanted to share with you today a journal entry from the journal that I'm currently working on, which is this one right here. And the journal entry that I wanted to share with you today is actually something I wrote this morning. So first, I'm going to go ahead and show you the journal entry in case you'd like to read it for yourself. There it is. And I will go ahead and read that aloud to you now. Here it goes. Friday, October 25th, 2024. When the whole world is running towards a cliff, he who is running in the opposite direction appears to have lost his mind. And that quote is by C.S. Lewis. This quote by C.S. Lewis, when I first encountered it, seemed to me both reassuring and judgmental. On the one hand, it was reassuring because I have always felt something wrong with following trends, particularly those of thought and opinion. In the current age and culture in America, it is often looked down upon to have beliefs that contradict those of the majority. While I open-mindedly consider the viewpoint of the majority, I opt to form my own conclusions. We should not be afraid to be independent thinkers in a society of conformity. On the other hand, I felt judgment from C.S. Lewis's words, as I have, to a certain extent, allowed myself to be pressured into running alongside the whole world in a direction that is insidiously doing away with the spirit. Some have termed this the rat race. Having been through 3/4 of medical school, I have felt firsthand the alienation that comes with being considered merely another cog in the wheel. During those years, I did not feel special. I felt that my talents were not being given the opportunity to shine. This was partly my own fault, and I now know that I could have exercised a different attitude toward things. Currently, I am learning to reconcile the necessity to be a part of the system. For obvious reasons, we depend on one another for many things. With my desire to be unique and original, to live an unconventional life, and to ensure the optimal use of my talents for the benefit of others while I am still alive. In the depths of my heart, as the whole world is running towards a cliff, I will be the one fearlessly running in the opposite direction. So that is the journal entry that I wanted to share with you today. And I'm still going to write more in my journal later today, perhaps in the evening, and that's why there's a whole bunch of blank space at the end of what I just read to you, but the day's not over yet, so I still have more to write about. But going back to the topic of this video, which is nonconformity in an age of conformity. What does that mean, and is it possible? As I wrote in that journal entry, it's hard for us to not be a part of the system because we are so dependent on other people for many things in our lives, many services, many goods, many other things and opportunities that we can't acquire without being dependent on other people. We are all interdependent on one another, and that's why it would be very hard for us to not be a part of the system. But is it possible to be a part of the system and still to be a nonconformist and a self-reliant person and an independent thinker? I think it's possible. And this is something that I didn't think was possible before, and this has caused me a lot of mental strife because when I was in medical school, I thought that being a doctor would mean that I had to lose my personality and lose all of the things that I'm good at that are outside of medicine and the talents that make me unique. Like outside of medicine and science, I have so many other interests, including the arts, photography, nature, literature, poetry, philosophy, and just reading books and, for example, sharing what I learn in those books with you through my videos. I thought that I would have to give up all of those things and dedicate myself wholeheartedly to medicine if I were to become a doctor. And it's no secret that being a doctor is taking up a lot of time from a person's life and a lot of effort, and people have to sacrifice a lot in order to be a doctor. And I've seen it from my own mother, who is herself a physician. She uses up all of her time to be a doctor and to serve her patients, and she worked so hard her entire life to reach this point. But just because certain types of doctors are like that, it doesn't mean that everyone who becomes a doctor or a physician has to be like that and has to sacrifice their individuality in order to serve other people or to serve the system. And this was a mistake in my attitude the first time around when I was in medical school. I just had a negative attitude and felt like it's not fair that I have to give up myself in order to be something that is just like anyone else. I thought that being a doctor didn't feel that special because there were so many other students around me who were also going to be doctors. And when I signed up to register for the MCAT a few weeks ago, I saw that when I was in the waiting line, it was like a virtual waiting line, and there were like 30,000 people ahead of me, and it took me about 3 hours to reach my turn to register for the MCAT. And when I saw that number, it just made me feel like I'm not special. I'm just a number among all of these thousands of other individuals. But we have to realize that even though it's easy to feel like alienated from ourselves or feel like our individuality is lost when we become part of the masses or are made to do some type of service that is a part of the system, whether that's in medicine or law or any other job basically that serves other people. To a certain extent, those things are necessary because, again, we're interdependent on one another. But it doesn't mean that we can't be ourselves and be unique and original individuals. And that's something I'm doing now by making these videos and still pursuing medicine. And I'm actually going to go to nursing school for a year to get a degree in nursing as a backup in case medicine doesn't work out for me again. But the reason why I'm doing both is because both are necessary. It's necessary to conform to a certain extent, but it's also necessary to pursue those dreams that are unique to us and that might go against the grain and go against what other people think is the typical way of doing things. And this relates to the idea of comfort and security versus freedom. We all need a certain level of comfort and security in our lives, and that comes from conformity to societal norms and the ways in which things occur and the way in which society is run. And then we need freedom, and freedom comes from being ourselves and being independent of what others tell us to do or how others tell us to think. And it's similar to the dynamic between ourselves and our parents. Like, we need a certain level of comfort and security that comes from knowing that our mother, for example, is always going to be there and support us. And in exchange for that comfort and security, we will have to listen to our mother and do what our mother tells us to do. But we also need freedom, and we need to have the freedom to go beyond that level of comfort and security and explore who we really are and what makes us original and a unique individual who will never be repeated in the course of history. So I wanted to use all of that, including my journal entry, to illustrate to you what it means to be a nonconformist in an age of conformity, and how you can be both a nonconformist and a conformist and balance the two, because it's obviously very difficult to be a total nonconformist in a society in which we are interdependent upon each other for many things. But I hope that you realize that it is possible and we can do both. I hope that you've learned something very valuable from my video today, as always. And with that, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is, wherever you are in the world.